Hello, everybody. Good day. Good sunny day. Today I'm going to be a sergeant at arms. My name is Ixeli Sasmendi Moctezuma. And Roseburg speaker and storytellers is a warm and welcoming group of diverse individuals interested in becoming better speakers and storytellers. Effective communication seamless wave story into whatever message they convey. Rosenburg speakers and storytellers is a safe and supportive environment where we develop and polish these skills. Please, while we are in the meeting, please turn off your microphone and your mobile to become quiet. Okay, we are ready, and now let's go with our president, Aju and Nantia. Aju, the screen is yours.
Thank you very much, Excel. Thank you for opening the meeting, and now I announce that the meeting is open. First of all, I would like to welcome everybody again to Roseburg Speaker and Storytellers. Thank you for being here diligently every week. We meet every Monday. One club business that I would like to share with all of us here is, I will mention our list of candidates for the next term leadership, which is the candidate for president is Yasmin Talwala, Vice President of Education, Rukaya Motagam, Vice President of Membership, Ixel Ismendi. We still need candidate for Vice President of Public Relations, Secretary. And then for the candidate for Treasurer is Michelle Albalim. Candidate for Sergeant at Arms is Tiger McKendy. So we still need two more candidates for the office of Vice President of Public Relations and Secretary. I see Mary, and Mary, you...
Yeah, I thought I'd say I'd be secretary if I'd run for secretary. Yeah.
Okay. This is the list of candidates, Mary. So I will put you as the secretary. And we are waiting for, I was asking Deja earlier, and she will give us her answer by first week of June. So we are good to go for the next term. But if, just in case, anyone would like to step up in any of the office, for office with two candidates, we will ask you to have or deliver a 2-minute speech. Then we will vote between the two. Thank you. And let's just get started with our regular meeting. Toastmaster of the day is Rukaya Motagam. Ruku, are you ready?
Yes, I am.
Ladies and gentlemen, let's get started and let's welcome Rukaya Motagam.
Thank you so much, Ms. President. Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening. I welcome you all once again to Roseburg Speakers and Storytellers. Shaping your financial future. This particular topic has made its advent into my thought process from two sources. The very first source was the last week's speech of Tiger. We all talked about that we should live in present and think about the same. But while living in present, it is equally important to think about the future and think about how we can shape our finance in the future. Because financial needs are on the top. These are to be taken into consideration as in priority. And the very second source, which gave me inspiration to choose this topic, was a YouTube video I was watching another day. Now, we all talk about securing the future, but in what terms? Nobody actually talks about that in what terms should we secure our future? Being financially sound is one way which could help an individual to shape their own future. This shape could only come if there is presence of enough financial literacy. I would like to give you some more information about the same with a very, very short video. I would like to share my screen for the same.
Generations. We are unlike any generation the world has ever seen. We're educated, competitive, and high tech. But we have a massive weakness. It is our lack of financial literacy. Financial literacy is being able to understand money and how it works. How many of us understand good debt versus bad debt, compound interest, and the idea of paying ourselves first? If we don't understand money, how will we be able to buy the things we want to buy, do the things we want to do, and one day retire debt-free?
So, this is how money is important, because it will help you to do the things you want to do in your future. And shaping your financial future is extremely important. Now, we will talk about more on this topic, but first I would like to introduce the role takers of today. Very first, I would like to introduce the grammarian of the day, Miss Ayu Anantya, to come upon and elaborate her role.
Thank you, Toastmaster of the day, Paya. I am now trying to copy and then post the word of the day in the chat. The word of the day is investment. Investment. It is the action or process of investing money for profit or material result. The example in the sentence is a debate over private investment in road building. Please use the word of the day, as many as you can. And my job today as grammarian will be taking note of beautiful language that we use. That is one. If I happen to hear some grammatical error, I will point it out. And my second role is counter. And as a counter, I will listening very careful. If there is any filler words that disrupting the speech, any speech, I will point them out too, and report everything at the end of the meeting. Toastmaster of the day.
Thank you so much, grammarian of the day. Before you go, I would like to ask you a question. That why do you think, or how do you think, financial security or financial future is of utmost importance in life?
I have a feeling we go through this because of Mary's speech, very inspiring, and we go with this. I am Chinese, and Chinese family is all about money. So I try to quote Tiger. Money is not everything, but it's good to have money. Very important, because somehow years ago, they are changing the barter system with money, and we need the money because of that. So it's become important because we can to continue living. We need these square things. But if if we can, I would like to go back in the past and no need to think about money. I think the world will be much better and we will depend to each other more. Rukaya.
Thank you so much, Ms. Ayub. Now, I would like to call upon our timer of the day, Ms. Yasmin, to elaborate her role and at the same time answer the same question.
Thank you very much, Toastmaster of the day. Getting to respond to something about planning my future finances is going to be difficult for me because I'm a very mismanaged person when it comes to financial matters. And this is one of the aspect of my life which I would like to improve going further. I think the only catch up I could get in my simple brain is to work in a company which can offer you pension so that you can have like better old age. And that's the only thing I focused so far, but I will be very happy to have more financial advice as to how I can manage it better. Coming to the role, I will be taking up as the timer, and I'm very glad to take up this role because this is the one I'm always hesitant to take up, but I'm coming up to take a role which would demand a bit more attention. I am going to be timing all the speakers, table topics, and the evaluations. The speeches are going to be timed within 5 to 7 minutes. For table topics, we will get 2 minutes, 1 minute for yellow, for green. When I say green, it means it's the minimum time. 1 minute 30 seconds for yellow. When I say yellow or amber, I mean it's the time to wrap up. And when I show red, that's the over limit. 2 minutes is when we should stop because the buffer is 30 seconds beyond 2. So 1 to 2 minutes for table topics. For evaluation, it's going to be 2 to 3 minutes. So 2 for green, 2 minutes 30 seconds for yellow, and 3 minutes for red. And I'll be using the virtual screen, so you will see the color change on my screen as like this. And I will also report in the chat and get back to you towards the end in case there is anyone who has been overtimed. Thank you, and back to you, Toastmaster of the day.
Thank you so much for elaborating your role. Now, I would like to inform you all that we'll have 3 sessions of this meeting. First being the prepared speech, second, table topics, and third, the evaluation round. So for the very first round, that is prepared speech, I would like to invite our first speaker, Ms. Shilpa. Her pathways is dynamic leadership, and she is giving speech for her level 1 project, researching and presenting. Ms. Shilpa, the floor is all yours.
You need to unmute, Shilpa.
See, it's a proof. I have been so sleepy this morning. I can barely concentrate and speak. My husband's been snoring all night. I told him that, and what did he say? I don't snore. Have you ever faced this problem with your fathers, with your mothers, with your pets, with your partners? Raise your virtual hands if you have had gone through people who say, I don't snore. And when they tell you, even you have been snoring, what do you say? I don't snore. This is a problem. There is some deeper reasons behind why the snoring happens, or what can be one of the possible reasons. Mary is already bored by my speech, hearing about all the snoring and speaking. Today, I will talk to you about one condition, because when my dad used to snore in the train and everyone in the morning would be telling me that your dad's not so lovely, I would just shrug it off. Over the years, and especially in the past 4 months, I have looked up why was this happening and what was the effect of that on my dad's present condition. I came along a term called obstructive sleep apnea. And that is what I'm going to present about more today. Let me share my screen. And so that we can know in detail about obstructive sleep apnea. If you see my screen, can anyone say yes?
No.
Not yet.
Okay. Okay, I think.
Yes, now we can.
Very good. Thank you. Thank you for confirming that. So again, the condition we are talking about today is obstructive sleep apnea. What it is actually, so it happens obviously during when we sleep, the breathing interrupts for 10 seconds or more. You can imagine what happens, and not once, n number of times during the night. Sometimes you've observed that, like my dad or even I feel sometimes we're like, we wake up like that because there is this interruption in the sleep and the body gives us a signal to wake up. It can happen hundreds, like really hundreds of times a night. Depending on how many number of times it happens in an hour, it's classified as mild or severe. Now, actually what happens is that our nasal pathway, if you see in the picture, the airway is open, and the little thing that hangs from our throat, that is functioning normally. But when the muscles get loose or due to some other reasons, the passageway is contracted or obstructed, all the muscles relax a lot more than they should, and the air cannot pass through your airway properly, does not let you breathe properly. And then to push that air through your airway, you have to really put a lot of pressure that causes the snoring sound. So this is the science. How does it impact the population? More than 25% of men and 10% of female population is impacted by it. Now, looking at this, 10% is not much, or 25% is not much, but 1 in every 4 men, 1 in every 10 women. It can range from kids to older people. Obviously, it's more in the older people because our muscles become more relaxed, then they lose the tonality. So that's the reason. Talking about symptoms of this condition called obstructive sleep apnea. Now, every snoring, mind me, every snoring is not obstructive sleep apnea. So don't go calling upon every person you know that you have OBS, you have OBA, you have OBA. That's not the same. And don't go thinking a lot in your mind that I might have it, because there are other symptoms. Every snoring is not OBA, obstructive sleep apnea, OSA, sorry. And it can also causes this daytime fatigue, like chronic sleepiness. You would have observed in older people or even in normal people, like when they watch TV or anything, sometimes they go to sleep. It is one of the symptoms, not necessarily always that's the reason behind it, but that's what happened. Once was my dad was driving a car. He came from a lunch party and he was driving a car going back, and he fell asleep on the steering. he was all alone in the car, and he hit something. By God's grace, he was fine. The other person was fine. And we still could not understand. We just thought that, oh, this happens to him. So, but there is, I think, a deeper reason behind it. In the long term, if untreated, it can also lead to hypertension, diabetes, overweight, like body weight increases beyond your control. So that is why if you see something, say something. Like Alice says, we have to take it in another aspect. If you see something, say something. Now, yes, we have these symptoms. If you observe these symptoms in yourself or someone else, we have talked about the risks. We'll come back to that later in a moment. The diagnosis should be done. A clinical diagnosis is important. Now, still, I have not been able to convince my family members to go for a diagnosis because this is not considered anything unusual. People are not ready to go for it. And the treatment is not a clear path. There is something called a CPAP therapy where you put a big mask. It is difficult to take care of. It is uneasy. It embarrasses people. So there are a lot of stigma around this. There is a lot of problem around this. There is no medication to this situation. You have to do a weight loss is important in the treatment, but it's not easy. Then there can be surgery or there can be reduction in allergies. Taking a break, I would request the timer to give me a verbal clue. And coming back to the risk.
Red.
Okay. There are many risks associated with it. Let's help each other. We can go to the doctor, but right now what I can suggest to you, all of you, 5 minutes of your time can help us. There are a few simple exercises that I can share with you after the meeting if we have time, otherwise some other time. So it's a few tongue exercises. Thank you all for listening to me, and I hand the podium back over to our Toastmaster of the day, Rakaya. The stage is all yours.
Thank you so much, Ms. Shilpa, for this informative speech. Now, as we don't have any more speakers as of yet, it is open if anybody wants to give an impromptu speech, or otherwise we'll move on to another session.
Rakaya, because we have time, I would like to share the exercises with people.
Okay, sure.
Sorry, I think Michelle is here if she would. She's also scheduled for this speech.
No, but she's not feeling well enough, I guess, to give the speech. So yeah, we can continue. I guess we can continue with the exercises in that case.
Okay, I'll just take 5 more minutes of everyone's time. Thank you for Madam Toastmaster. Okay, I am over time, but just because I feel so passionately about this right now. You cannot do something about the anatomy of your body. There are factors like genetic factors. There are the environmental factors, alcohol, diet, exercise, all that causes it, and also some other factors. But what we can do is some exercises for our neck and the throat muscles. Our tongue plays a very important part. I hope you can all see me very well. So it may be funny, but some fun is always guaranteed at RSS. You have to stick your tongue out and then try to touch your nose. Do that for 10 seconds. Yeah. As long as you can try to do that. Also, you have to stick your tongue out and take it in the other direction. And same way, right and left. So those all exercises for 10 seconds is important. You don't necessarily need to touch your noses, but yeah. And you have to stick your tongue to your upper palate. So just try to push your upper palate with your tongue, just behind your teeth. And then to the sides. And roll your tongue like you have to roll your tongue and stick it in your mouth. On the upper palate, Yasmin. Behind, a little bit behind. Simpler version is, so all these for 10 seconds to 15 seconds, for 10 to 15 times. Tell this to your parents, tell this to your partners if they would. Just 5 minutes a day makes a big difference in strengthening your muscles so they don't relax too much. Another thing is just stick a spoon inside your mouth and hold it with your lips only and nothing else, like not your teeth, but the lips. And those are the ways, not 100% effective, a part of the solution to the problem, but it definitely strengthens your muscles. It's funny, but go ahead and do it. Thank you again, Raku, for the time, and over to you.
Thank you so much, Ms. Shilpa. And also, I would like to ask you a question. Just because you were the very first to suggest me the right theme, so I would like to ask you, why do you think financial security is important, or how do you think you can financially secure or shape your future?
Thank you, Rukaya. Now, I am the person who is part Rukaya and part Yasmin. My brain fluctuates about thinking about my financial future a lot to completely ignoring them at times. But I think consistency is the key. I have worked my first job and my passion is into investments. And I would say consistency is the key. Keep saving every month, keep investing every month, and keep a check on your finances. Those would be my 3 tips. Back to you, Rukaya.
Okay, thank you so much. Now let's move on to our second session, which is table topics. And for the same, we have a very witty TTM who would be coming up with some exciting questions for us today. So for the same, I would like to invite Mr. Ravi Shankar to come upon and conduct the session.
Thank you, Toastmaster of the Day, Toastmaster Rukaya. For today's table topics session, I have a slideshow that I'm going to quickly start off. Do let me know if the screen is not visible. Okay, I'll take that as a yes, that the screen is visible. All right. Now, let me see if I can pick on someone who hasn't spoken so far. Sarah, would you like to go?
Okay, yes.
All right. So we have 10 topics on the screen represented by whatever you see, the images. Pick one and I'll tell you more about it.
The rich duck. I'm not sure what's the name in English.
Okay, yeah. This is Scrooge McDuck, if I remember correctly. So you're picking this one, right?
Yes.
All right. So your topic is money can't buy you happiness. And let me see if I should stop sharing my screen so that you can see the timer as well. I'll do that. Money can't buy you happiness. I hope you can recall that.
Okay. Money can't buy happiness. I only partially agree to this sentence. I will tell you why with 3 reasons. The first one is that it is true that you cannot buy happiness, but you can have money to celebrate a big, big party with the people you like, with your friends, with your family. And it is not happiness. I'm sure it is to have time to share together with other people you like. The second reason is that you can spend that money traveling. And I'm sure you all like to travel and to discover new countries, new people, new food. So for sure, you cannot buy happiness with money, but you can spend that money in traveling, which is almost the same. And the third is you can buy food, very good food, cakes, sweeties. It is not that one reason to be happy, to have many, many things to eat. So that's why I just partially agree with this sentence. At the end, with money, you can have good parties, good traveling, and good food. And that's quite enough to be happy. So back to you, table topic master of the day.
Thank you, Sarah. That was good. 3 things. I need to keep that in mind. I've not been in a party in a long time. So yeah. Especially when somebody else is paying for it. Okay, who's next? How about Mary? Just a second. I hope you can see my screen, Mary.
Yes, I'd like to do the one with the bride and groom on the cake, top of the cake, that one.
All right. Tell us about a time when you disagreed with your partner about money matters.
Oh.
I'm going to stop sharing so that you can see the time.
Find the timer. Okay. Fellow Toastmasters and guests, immediately a particular time came to mind. My husband and I, we rarely argued. And so that's why it was so distinct. I mean, he's my ex-husband, so we must have had something wrong, but we didn't argue a lot. But shortly after we were married, my mother asked to borrow $2,000. Now, we were newlyweds. We had just bought a house, and then shortly after found out we were going to be parents to be. So money was very important to us. We were a new couple, and we had a lot of expenses just coming, into the marriage and buying a house and furniture and stuff. So $2,000 was a big request, but it was my mother. I mean, you can't say no to your mother, because she'll put the guilt on you. Oh, I raised you. Remember when you wanted to go somewhere and I gave you this money, you went on a trip and I took money that I needed, so I felt like I had to give it to her, but my husband's like, no, you cannot give that money. We need it for our future. And I said, she'll pay us back. No, she won't. Yes, she will. And so the argument ensued. And for like about a day and a half, he was really angry and we didn't talk. But you know what? In the end, I won out. I gave my mom the money and she did eventually pay it back, but it wasn't as soon as we would have liked. So luckily she never asked again, but that was the one stickler: never lend money to family or friends. It can cause problems. So we learned that, and we tried not to ever lend money again to people. So that's for happiness. That's what you need to do. Don't lend money to family or friends. Back to you, Table Topics Master.
Thank you, Mary. Don't lend it, but I think it's okay to borrow, right?
If you borrow it, you should pay it back, because that's also a way to lose a friendship or cause problems in a family.
True. All right. Who should I pick on next? How about Ishel? Can you see my screen, Ishel?
Michelle or Excel? Sorry, Ravi.
Ishel, you. I'm sorry.
Okay. Yes, I can see. The guy who has an eagle in his hand.
Okay.
Yes.
So your topic is a bird in hand is worth two in the bush. You're better off holding on to something that you have with you rather than running after something that you don't have with you. That's what this expression means. A bird in hand is worth two in the bush.
Could you repeat me the meaning? Sorry.
Sure. So this means that it's better that you hold on to something that you have with you rather than chasing after something that you don't have with you.
Okay. Yes. And I can say that for have a safety financial, that you don't have to buy something if you don't have the money. Maybe you want travel to go, but you don't have the money. So it's better to keep to don't do that. Save money, and when you have, it's better to do that. Of course, the first step is to save, and then to invest for gather more money, and then that extra money maybe you can spend in something that you want to get, but no don't to spend more than you have. I could say that for as when you have something in your hand is better than in the bush. Thank you, Ravi. Go back with you.
Thank you, Ishel. All right. Who do we pick on next? I think this time I'll go with Tiger.
There's absolutely no question who I'm picking. I'm picking Clint Eastwood, my favorite actor.
Okay. What steps would you take to earn a few dollars more?
Kill the bad guys, of course. Steal their gold. I'm going to go on record as saying I totally 100% disagree with the video that we saw at the beginning of this meeting. I think it's a falsehood to think that if you make a lot of money, you can do what you want and be happy. Absolutely wrong. It's backwards. Do what you want, the money will take care of itself. Now, I have a couple unique perspectives. I have been dirt poor and I have been affluent. And I'm here to tell you, unfortunately, I was a lot happier being dirt poor. Now, as I get older, being poor sucks. I went from being poor to being affluent to being poor again, and now I'm working my way back to being self-sufficient. I'll never be affluent again, and I'm okay with that. I've come to grips with that. Money is a weird thing. And if you think it's going to make you happy, I don't care how much you make. I don't care. You can travel the world. You can have a brand new $250,000 car. If you're not happy, you ain't going to be happy. I have a friend, my best friend growing up. He was rich. He was fun to spend time with. He had a swimming pool, a basketball court. His baker, he had a personal baker. His parents had a personal baker. She made chocolate chip cookies that were this big. I loved going to his house. He committed suicide at age 50, and he had everything anybody could ever want. So don't tell me money's going to make you happy. It won't. Now, having said that, if you have too much money and you don't know what to do with it, I'll give you my address. I'll give you my PayPal account, and you can send it to me, and I will make you so much happier. Table Topics Master. And by the way, Clint Eastwood, if you haven't seen his movies, see his movies, especially his recent one, the one about the car, Gran Torino. If you have not seen Gran Torino, it is a must-see. Back to you, Table Topics Master.
Thank you, Tiger. Thanks for that. Yeah, Gran Torino is definitely an amazing movie. Yep. All right. Who should we pick next? How about Deja? Let me bring up my screen quickly. All right.
Deja, you are still muted. Deja, you're still muted.
Oh yeah, Deja, you're still on mute.
I choose the color of money.
Okay. So the question, or rather the topic for you is, if there is one passion that you wouldn't give up for all the money in the world, what would it be? And tell us a little more about it.
I've been learning a lot about the values that we have in life. What are your true values that you pursue? And my values are learning, family, travel. I feel like these values are also your passions. And I would say that learning is not something that I would give up for all the money in the world. Without learning, I'm not growing. Without learning, I'm not discovering anything new. And that's not fun. It doesn't make life worth living. If I had all the money in the world and I used it to entertain myself, but I never grew, I never learned anything new, it's not fun. It doesn't make life worth living. It doesn't make my time valuable. I could spend the money, but my time would not be, my time may be, I might be having fun with that money, but I wouldn't be learning anything of value. I wouldn't be filling my time here on earth with anything valuable. Thank you.
Thank you for sharing with us, Deja. All right. How about Michelle? I think she said she's not got a good throat today.
Yeah, I think Ruku volunteered.
Okay. Richie? Or did she get volunteered by you? That's the question.
No, Ruku was volunteering. She was raising her hand before. Rukaiya.
Okay. Are you ready, Ruku?
Yes, I am.
Just a second. All right.
Okay, I would go with, is the color of money done?
Yes. Just now.
Which one are still remaining?
The very first one, the coin and office space and the hourglass. Other than Scrooge McDuck, the first row is entirely available.
Okay, so I'll go with hourglass.
Okay.
Yeah.
Time is money.
As the saying goes, time is money. Time is actually money. time is very, very important and at the same time very valuable. A second that passes never comes back. And the one who cannot value time cannot value anything in his or her life. Time. I remember one incident. I had one classmate with me when we were young. I was in 6th standard, I guess. 6th or 7th standard. I'm not assuring which one. 6th or 7th standard. A day before exam, a month before exam, I told her that a particular part of math subject was very, very hard and tough, which needed utmost importance and emphasis and learning at the same time. But she ignored what I said at that point of time. And when it came in exam, the 50 to 60% part of that paper was from that particular topic, which she was not able to do, and she regretted it for the whole time because she was a good learner. She was a good performer. She performed very well in every of her exam, but just because of this one exam, her whole grade went down. And at that time, she realized that if she would have studied a month earlier for the same thing, she would not have to go through that whole process. So time is money. Value it when you have it. Once it is gone, it will never be coming back. Thank you, and back to you.
Thank you. Thank you for sharing that with us, Rupu. Indeed, time is money, just like you mentioned. The example from school. All right. I think I have a couple more topics left, and may I check with the Toastmasters?
I want to hear from our president.
I was going to pick her next, but before I did that, I was just wondering if we have time left, and I think we do. Okay, so are you? Hold on, let me bring the screen.
So I'm the next victim, huh? Okay. Okay, in God we trust.
Okay. Penny wise, pound foolish.
I don't really understand the meaning of this, but I will share with you what I think when I hear these 4 words. And that's what my father said. Give a person his value. Not too little, but not too much. Because when you give a little, sometimes people feel not enough and they will think differently. It can be, we are the one who, for example, is an employee and we are the employer. It will be our fault to give too little to our employee because that makes them, 1, not satisfied, 2, they probably think differently, 3rd, they may steal because they feel not enough. But if you give them too much, it's also not good because they take it for granted. So how to value people is very difficult. But if you have someone who can see our intention, keep that person. Because even they will be there with us in the bad moment and in the good one. Never steal, but even give more that they can give to us. I have somebody in my a helper in the family. When we don't have money, she stayed. And that is priceless. So value your fellow friends, value the one that truly to you, they are more than family, they are more than friends sometimes. Have a topic, Master.
Thank you. Wonderfully put. Very beautifully put. Thank you for that. All right. And now I think the only person left is our timer for the day. So if somebody else can volunteer to jot down the time.
I was
maybe
trying to hide behind the virtual screens, but didn't work.
Okay, I think Ayu is volunteering to, yeah, thank you. Thanks for that, Ayu. All right.
Okay,
Yasmin, can you see my screen?
yeah, I think I have only the work sucks.
Well, you also have The Big Short and The Godfather, I think. I don't think those have been picked, but that's okay.
Yeah,
If
work
you
sucks.
pick, okay. So, I mean, that's the tagline of the movie. It's a movie called Office Space. It's one of my all-time favorites. And let me give a little bit of history to this. There's a line in the movie where one of the characters says, when you're growing up, there's a teacher in school that asks them, if you had $1 million, what would you do? And that's what the question is related to. So the question for you is, if you didn't need to work for a living, how would you spend your time?
This is absolutely easy. I love the subject. Thank you very much. I really love the subject because I am a strong believer, like Tiger, that you do what you love to do, you follow your passion, and money will flow. And money is not everything. And it is absolutely clear to me that even when I'm working, I'm doing what I really want to do, not that I am forced to do. And therefore, if I have not to work for a living, I will continue doing what I am doing. That is to continue working to make people feel for nature, to make people, really value the universe we are in, and really don't feel that they are on the top of the pyramid, the top of the whatever pyramid that you want to call. I really disagree to this pyramidical model of system where it puts human at the top. I rather believe in the circular integrity. We are all interconnected, because this model of being on the top brings in the concept that we can control things which are beyond or below us in the pyramid, which is absolutely not the case. If we destroy the system, we are also gone. So it is very simple. If I would not be working for my living, I would still be doing the same. I would still be working for saving dugongs or saving forests, and yes, would not give up on running. So I will indeed find my happiness and will always prioritize it. Thank you. Back to you, Table Topic Master, and really loved the question.
Thank you, Yasmin. Thanks for sharing your thoughts on that. And I thought I was done with all the table topics speakers, but I think I did not pick on Shilpa yet, did I? I did not. Okay. A quick check to see if we have time to accommodate one more table topic speaker. I think I see a couple of people nodding. So, all right.
Ravi, I have spoken enough for the day. I will turn the table and ask you to pick a picture.
Well, all right. Are you going to share a picture, or is it going to be the same set of pictures that I've presented? I know what's behind them.
The same set of pictures, yes.
Okay. Let's see. I'll go with The Godfather.
Oh, I wanted you to take that.
Okay. So again, one of my all-time favorite movies, among many. And there's a line. Okay, anyway, let me bring it up. there's a line in the movie where there's a character that says to another, leave the gun and take the cannoli. Cannoli is I think a sweet. And my interpretation of that is that they had their priorities right. I mean, I know there's many different interpretations of this, but my interpretation is, how do you prioritize between money and other matters? How do you prioritize money over family or education or travel or eating? So that's the topic for me. And let me stop sharing. I would say I'll take a leaf out of what has been spoken so far by most of us here in the meeting today. And I would say that I'll construct a pyramid actually this time. And I'll say that as you walk through multiple stages of your life, the kind of money that you need depends on which stage in life that you're in. It reminds me of something that I've read about called Maslow's hierarchy of needs, right? And you have some basic needs and then you slowly go on fulfilling them and then you keep going up the pyramid. So depending on what stage of life you're in, I think, especially when you're a child, money doesn't matter at all for the most part, because I don't think most children are aware of the concept of money until they are at a certain age where it is explained to them. Starting from that point till the point where I think you've earned enough money and maybe saved up, or as Yasmin said, you have a job which gives you a pension, and you get to a stage where you can retire, you don't need to worry about money there. So those are the two edges of that particular pyramid, if I may call it that. But in between, you go through a lot of different stages in life. You get married, you have kids, or you buy a house, you want to get educated, you join Toastmasters and you have to prepare and research for speeches. It could be any of these things. At any point of this, at any of these stages, your needs will change depending on what you're doing. And that's where your relationship with money changes. And so based on your priorities in life, you need to decide what your priorities are with money. That's my thought. Back to you, well, back to myself, I guess. All right, thank you for turning the tables on me, Shilpa. And that's about all I had, I think, unless Shilpa, you're still interested in picking one.
Do we have the time? If we have the time, no. Yes.
Oh, we don't. Okay. All right. Okay. So thank you, everybody. And back to you, Toastmaster of the day, Toastmaster Ruqayyah.
Thank you so much, Mr. Ravi. You did really good job and you worked really, really hard to get this theme into the whole table topics. Thank you so much for that. Now, many of us here during this table topic had spoken that they cannot plan about their future finances, which is a very true fact because we don't have enough literacy for the same. We don't get enough lessons over the same that how should we shape our finances that we don't have to face much consequences in our future. So a very, very short knowledge about the same. You could go and invest or see all the information about the same on financial literacy campaigns. There are many campaigns according to the countries you are living in. So every country has some or the other campaign which are going on, which you can access the information about on the Google or any surfing sites. You can go over there, educate yourself about what is financial literacy and how you can do the financial investment to save and shape your future. Now, let's move on to the last session of this meeting, which is the evaluation round. And for the same, I would like to invite a general evaluator of the day, Deja. Deja, please come and conduct the session.
Thank you, Toastmaster of the Day, Ruqayyah. I am the general evaluator today, and I will conduct the evaluation portion of the meeting. I will be calling on my team members to assist me with giving feedback to our speakers, and I will evaluate the entire meeting as well at the end. Who is the general, or who is the speech one evaluator? I would like to introduce Ishel to evaluate the speech by by Shilpa, pardon me.
Yes, Deya. Yes, for Shilpa. Okay, Shilpa. I like it so much your theme for snoring, and also, well, I would like to say that I like it that you go with your pathway, that it was researching and presenting. So in your presentation, we can see that you search and you show this information and explain what happened, why we snoring, and how do you feel when you are in that situation. I like it that you show it also. And also I would like to say that I like it your hesitation when you started the speech, for all the mimics that you say we are sleeping, and how you move it. You make a lot of hesitation. I like that. About about my recommendations. Your presentation was so good, and the picture and how you put the information and how you talk about that. But I would like it to see you more. I don't know if it's possible that maybe you can show the information, then take off and speak about that. Because I would like it. I would like it to see you more, and how you express, how you say the things at the beginning, that or hesitation. And also in the conclusion, I think that it a little weak with the gather all the information that you had, and to make a conclusion, to say what happened, that what can you do, or how you how can you reduce this a little issue. So I think that it was a little missing in that conclusion, in your conclusion. What else? I think that it's only that two recommendations. As I could say, conclusion, I like your theme. We see that you search, how you show the information, and maybe the recommendation to see you a little more, and better conclusion with your search. It's all about my evaluation. Thank you, Deja. Back to you.
Thank you, Ishel. I wanted to say about the speech section of our meeting. We need to learn how to invest our time wisely. We ran out of time, but it was, I think it was really good for Shilpa to say, I will share this with you, the rest of this with you after the meeting, as a good way to say, I have more information, but we'll give it at a different time where it's more appropriate, because my time here in this speech is limited. I also think we need to be aware of our mute button, which is something I'm guilty of as well. And not something that we would have to be so aware of if we were in person. It is a factor of the time that we're in, that the mute button, otherwise we'd just be concerned about opening our mouths. We have that trained in us since we learned to speak, when to speak and when not to speak. We don't give a second thought about having to unmute ourselves when we want to speak. So it's good that we keep we keep awareness of our mute button. I also wanted to speak about the table topics. Ravi, you were clearly well prepared, and I could see that you had a significant investment of your time into the table topics. Just a couple notes on some of the table topic speakers. Ruku, I think you're an excellent on your feet speaker. You speak very smoothly. Ayu, I think you had an excellent pivot when you didn't understand the phrase. You instead talked about what you think about when you hear that phrase because you didn't understand what the phrase meant. Neither did I. I think that's a British phrase. We don't have pounds here in the US. So it was good for you when you don't understand it to pivot and just talk about what it means to you or what you think about when you hear that. Lastly, I don't know if this is a British versus American English thing, but there was some interesting pronunciations. Like Shilpa said, anatomy. Here in the US, people pronounce it anatomy. And genetic, we pronounce it genetic. And then Yasmin, you said pyramid, and we pronounce it pyramid. I don't know if those are just British versus American English pronunciations, but I wanted to point that out. Next, I'll introduce our grammarian for the day, who's been listening for good uses of the language as well as points for improvement. You may give your report. I will pass this on to Ayu.
Yeah, thank you. I just take a little bit note on grammarian, the beautiful language, or I will say like this. The word that I don't understand, I write it down and I try to Google it. I try to understand sedentary fatigue. Sedentary fatigue. It was in Silpa's slide. And I still don't understand fatigue, still don't really get the point. I will look it up. I'm just saying, but this is something that is health work that's quite difficult. And I'm interested in that. So thank you for sharing that, Silpa. So I can learn about that and people can learn. I will put it in the chat later on. The next thing is somebody said, beautiful language. Somebody said, never lend money that to family or friend that can cause problem. That's from Mary. From Tiger, kill the bad guy, steal the goat. Oh, I was directly laugh on that. Then from Deja, if not learning, life doesn't worth living. And then from, I think this is from Ruku. Value time, value it when you have it, because it never comes back. And the last one from Ravi, type of money you need depends on your stage of life. That's my grammarian report. And for counter, everybody did good. I just would like to say, Ikshel, congratulations. From the beginning, you joined RSS or joined Toastmasters until today, your filler word has reduced significantly. You still use it a little bit, but it's reduced significantly. So well done. That's all from me, grammarian and counter report, and back to you, Madam General Evaluator. Deja, we cannot hear you.
That darn mute button. It is important to get your message across in the allowed time and for the meeting to run according to schedule. Our timer will now report on how we've done with the time. You may give your report.
Thank you very much, General Evaluator. We haven't done that bad. We really, all the speakers were on time. I was posting the timings in the chat. Just to the attention for the first speaker, it was a little bit over time, but otherwise within the time limits, everything was within, and I must rather appreciate that despite of being one speaker, we have done it so well that we are so much on time and will be able to close within next 2 minutes. So we really are keeping track of time very well. Thank you, and back to you, General Evaluator.
Thank you, Timer Yasmin. That concludes the general evaluation segment. Let's welcome back our Toastmaster of the day, Ruku.
Thank you, Deja, for smoothly conducting the session. And thank you each and every one of you for participating in today's meeting and being active. Now, I would like to turn this meeting towards our president, Ms. Ayu Anantya.
Thank you, everybody. Thank you very much. I do have, I know myself one. Tiger pointed that out to me yesterday, that I sometimes having a difficulty organize my mind. So earlier I was talking about the election, and I just want to finish that election, that club business things. I just would like to say thank you to all of you for your willingness to step up and lead RSS in the next term. The election will be held next Monday. We will proceed anyway, even if one office has not had a candidate yet, as we will ask from the floor. And if we still don't have one, it's okay, because we need to submit that first in the TI website, and then the one office we will continue later. We will just do it slowly, one step in a time. So thank you everybody for a very good meeting today, as always. And Ravi, thank you for the good laugh during the table topic. Ruku, thank you. With this, I adjourn the meeting.